The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And there continues to be a lot of frustration with Zohran Mamdani, especially among the Jewish community. All communities are really outraged by his rhetoric against Benjamin Netanyahu. And this goes with this whole history of the way Mamdani has just handled the Jewish community in general. He didn't want to go to the Israel Day parade. He, seems to slam Jewish individuals, and at least his wife certainly wasn't very supportive of Israel after October 7th. It's really shocking, the rhetoric and the way that this has been handled. And the hubris from him, he's, we're going to try to arrest him. Oh, no. Well, now I'm going to see if I can get the federal government to arrest him. Well, there was a big protest over the weekend, and I wanted to play some clips from it here on the Rita Cosby Show, because this is one of the organizers there. It's at the End Jew Hatred rally, and listen to what they had to say about Zohran Mamdani calling Benjamin Netanyahu a war criminal that should be arrested. Take a listen.
I'm in New York City! Guys, there are people who think we're crazy. There are people who think we're overreacting. There are people who think that a 2-minute video had zero impact on Thursday. Guess what? They are wrong. It started January 1st. Then he hosted Mahmoud Khalil. I'm talking about Mayor Mamdani. Posted it on his social media. That wasn't enough. St. Patrick's Day, he invokes the libel of genocide. That wasn't enough. Mamdani hosted a commercial with one of his staffers, Muhammad, wearing a keffiyeh. That wasn't enough. Mamdani continues to incite violence against us. Mamdani continues to send a message to us, to isolate us, to divide us, to make us feel separate from the rest of our communities. But guess what? What Mamdani didn't realize, it wasn't just the Jewish community that got stabbed on Thursday. It was the Asian community. First they come for the Jews, yes, then they come for everybody else. Mayor Mamdani, we declare you've got blood on your hands. Say it with me. Mayor Mamdani, we declare you've got blood on your hands. Mayor Mamdani, we declare you've got blood on your hands. Thank you, End Jew Hatred. Thank you, everyone. God bless America, and God bless the state of Israel.
And here is a New York State Assembly member who called on the DOJ, the Department of Justice, to look into Mamdani. He was at the rally, too.
My name is Michael Novikov, and I represent New York's 45th Assembly District, home to one of the nation's largest concentrations of immigrants who fled persecution driven by anti-Semitism and socialism. I escaped the Soviet Union myself. Many of my Orthodox Jewish, Sephardic Jewish, Ukrainian and Belarusian neighbors or their families fled the same oppression. Many of our families lost loved ones in the Holocaust, which is why we understand better than most what happens when government leaders promote or tolerate hatred against Jews or spread of socialist authoritarianism. Today, I am formally requesting that the United States Department of Justice open a civil rights investigation into New York City, New York State, and Mayor Mamdani. The same kind of investigation the DOJ opened into Columbia University to protect Jewish students. You already know the numbers because many of you are living them. Jews make up roughly 10% of this city's population, yet we are the target of over half its reported hate crimes. Women hiding their Star of David necklaces, men tucking their kippahs under baseball caps just to ride the subway. This is not paranoia. This is the reality that has been allowed to take root. And we have a mayor who sang praise for Hamas who hosted a Hamas apologist for dinner at Gracie Mansion, who threatened to arrest a foreign head of state that he knows he has no legal authority to arrest. We have a no-bail law that lets repeat Jewish hate crimes offenders to walk free.
A lot of emotions there at that event. Obviously, it's very hard from a legal perspective to go after somebody for words versus some sort of action also. But who knows? Who knows? But here is Bill de Blasio, of course, former New York City mayor. And he was on Fox News, and he said he understands why Zoran Mamdani called Netanyahu a war criminal. He's backing him up.
He knew he didn't have the authority to arrest Netanyahu, but went out and said it anyway. And was that all political theater?
I think he drew attention to the fact that Netanyahu is literally a war criminal. This guy's policies led to the deaths of tens of thousands of Palestinian children. And that defines a war crime to me and to so many people around the world.
Are you the defining factor? Like, are you the authority?
The international.
What is a war criminal?
Court, look, the International Criminal Court should mean something.
We're not a party to it.
It still should mean something to the entire world. Because this is, look, what do you call a leader who authorizes this kind of killing? To me,
somebody who was he responding to something that happened to the Israeli people on October 7th?
There was a horrible massacre, terrorist attack on October 7th. Absolutely unacceptable. But the response to that, wait a minute.
Does Hamas, though,
the response
put innocent people in harm's way?
Violence that killed tens of thousands.
Do you think that Hamas puts innocent people in harm's way?
Of course, but do you think if Hamas does something wrong, it means Netanyahu and Israel therefore can do something even worse?
I think if Hamas is hiding innocent people and they are dying in a war that Hamas started, that yes, Hamas is at fault. I believe that.
If you want to say,
I don't need an authority to tell me that.
Listen to what I'm saying. You know the famous two wrongs don't make a right? What Netanyahu did not only caused massive civilian death, it has turned so much of the world against the Israeli government and the Israeli state. So he has harmed his own people, and guess who thinks that? The Israeli people. So his approval in Israel is even lower than Donald Trump's approval here. Because the Israeli people now realize Netanyahu has caused them immense harm, largely for his own political gain and self-preservation.
So you came on our show today to call Benjamin Netanyahu a war criminal?
I didn't come here to call him that. You asked me a question.
Do you believe that to be the case?
I absolutely believe that.
So Mayor Mamdani's got the backing of former Mayor Bill de Blasio. Boy, oh boy. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Judith in Brooklyn, line 2. Go ahead, Judith.
Hi, birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah, that's all I could think about, too. My goodness.
Yeah. I'm calling because, honestly, I truly believe that Mamdani wants to go to 9/11 very proudly to celebrate, not to memorialize. I'll tell you why. He has never condemned Hassan Piker, his best friend over there. Never, ever said when Hassan said that, we deserve 9/11. He should have condemned that. Not only that, Hassan Piker has this picture of the burning of the Twin Towers, the destruction, very proudly behind him now and framed. Where is Mamdani condemning him on that? Okay.
I agree. So, you know what I'm curious, Judith? I don't know if any reporters have asked him about that new image, because I know what you're talking about, that he put up that image. It's called 9/12, like the day after the destruction or whatever. Which is just reprehensible, like you said. And I don't know if any reporters have asked, because quite frankly, a lot of the reporters have gone so easy on Mamdani. They have asked him about Netanyahu. But you're right. They should ask him about that. And they should say, will you once and for all condemn Hassan Piker, who you're chumming with? And not only was he chummy with him, remember he invited him to the victory party, and he also invited Mahmoud Khalil. It was like, I was waiting for him to invite Abrego Garcia. It's like, is there anybody else he needs? Remember Maryland, father of 4, the father of the year. But it is so absurd. And you're right. I don't think he ever has. And he should do that. Maybe that's maybe that's something that the 9/11 families can also ask for. We would like you to publicly condemn. We would like you, I think, if they can, cohesively write a letter and say, here's what we are demanding. I think it would be interesting to see if he would. I don't think he will condemn them. Do you?
Well, he hasn't done it till now, and
right.
that's because he is cahoots with him. He believes he's part of that. He is definitely, what's his name? Assemblyman Joe Hyken called him a terrorist. I believe Mamdani is a terrorist. He's a terrorist sympathizer. He's brought up with parents that believe this way. He's completely, he celebrates Hamas next day. His wife, she's also, I think they celebrated 9/11. A lot of these Muslims right here in America, in New Jersey and Patterson, they were on the roofs cheering and carrying on. You've seen pictures, not just Hassan Piker, but you've seen pictures in the Middle East of people celebrated 9/11. Okay.
Oh,
having
yeah,
the
cheering.
Picture framed.
Absolutely.
And having the picture framed. So we're dealing with I had said when 9/11 happened, and then you remember they trying to fight to put a mosque instead.
Right.
Remember
right. Which was just
outrageous.
Absurd. Right.
You talk about two middle fingers. That's it. And then you know what? Now and so they kind of won because we've got this guy here, right in Gracie Mansion. He's an anti-American. He's not just a communist. He's a 7th century Islamist radical nutjob. Okay, and that's what they are. You know something, Rita, if I may, you had a caller Thursday night called Nat, whatever he calls himself. And he was saying, yeah, of course Iran has to have a nuclear thing or whatever, because Israel has a nuclear power. Well, the difference is, Rita, that Israel's never said they want to, take Iran off the face of the map. It's the other way around. It's always been Iran always threatening Israel. We're going to get you, take you off the face of the map. And it's Iran that's been threatening. And it's Israel that's always been trying to be peaceful and make peace and whatever. How many times did they come to the table, ask President Clinton and whatever, and each time they came to the table to sign something, they're the ones that ran away. And now, openly, they say they don't want Israel to exist. They don't want Jews to exist. They want to, do away with them, God forbid. So this is their intention. And that's what we're dealing with. And Mamdani's part of it. Absolutely.
Yeah, he certainly hasn't been condemning it. And his rhetoric is so dangerous. And I think part of it, Judith, I think this is what he believes. I mean, he truly does believe. That's why he's a member of this Democratic Socialist movement. If you look at the Democratic Socialist movement, so much of it is this boycott, divest, and sanction Israel. That's like one of the first things on their list. And he is a true believer. That's why I believe he is carrying out things. And that's why he even said when they was asked, hey, are you going to go to the Israel Day Parade? I've made my position clear. I'm not going. He had so much sort of like animosity and determination not to go. And then he wants people to believe he's a mayor for all people in New York. The evidence seems to be a bit different based on the way he picks and chooses topics and who he goes after and what parades and what events, and the vitriol that he had for Netanyahu. And the other thing, too, the day when that stabbing happened that took place on the West Side, when that happened with the synagogue, it was just so horrible and so heartbreaking. Those two attacks, first the Asian guy and then the Jewish guy right by the synagogue, right when he was leaving the synagogue. Well, immediately right afterwards, Zohran Mamdani puts out a post talking about the second home tax. The stabbing had already happened. The details were already known. And yet his first reaction was the second home tax. And then I think it was like an hour or two later, after Governor Kathy Hochul put out a statement, then he puts out a statement about the attacks. But in other words, it wasn't really that much. I guess it wasn't as big of a priority to him than the second home tax, which to me speaks volumes. 1-800-848-9222. Judith, thanks so much. And everybody, we will continue your calls here on The Rita Cosby Show right after the break.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. This is the Rita Cosby Show.
And let's continue with your calls, guys. Let's go to Stan in Forest Hills on line 5. Go ahead, Stan.
Good evening. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Okay. I got news for you. I think he's going to show up at this affair. I think he's going to show up.
Who you talking about? Wait, hang on. Wait, Stan. You're talking about Mamdani? Who you talking at 9/11 ceremonies
I think he's going to show up. Yeah.
At the commemoration events at Ground Zero.
Yeah, he'll be there. I think so. Look, I'm not for him showing up. I'd like him to put him in a box and hide, but I think to some extent he has to show up.
Why is that?
I mean, I don't want him there, but he is the mayor of the city no matter what. I hate his guts. You hate it. We all do. But he is the mayor, and he has to represent something. Now, you're right. The people who's lost families at 9/11 could say to him, please don't come. He may go, but I think he will show up. I think he do. The other thing is, there are many Muslim clerics, not all, who have shown up in previous, I think you know that, previous memorials, very low-key, but have been there just to show support, not major ones, but Muslim clerics in the community in New York that have shown up at the event.
And Stan, it's not the Muslim, and you, I know you understand this, because there have been clerics and others who I don't think their wives are liking tweets celebrating October 7th.
Oh no,
there's a lot of wonderful Muslim, people in New York and around this country. It's not the Muslim. It's the fact that some of his rhetoric and the Hassan Piker
Rita,
and all of that is reprehensible. I think he needs to condemn anyone who has said America deserved 9/11. I think he needs to issue an apology. And I think the families need to, if they cohesively agree to it, and only then should he be there. I feel really strongly. I don't think he should be there. I don't think he deserves to be there. And I don't think New York wants him there.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Rita Cosby is on.
And by the way, as I talked about Zoran Mamdani's New York City on the Department of Finance webpage listing hundreds of thousands of entities who could find themselves sort of in the crosshair of him with these second luxury homes. And it's interesting because on the list also are some folks who have been supportive of him. Actress and one-time New York gubernatorial candidate Cynthia Nixon apparently has a second home. Taylor Swift also made the cut, by the way, of having a, quote, second home. Some of it listed under different company names. One is called Euro Tribeca LLC, according to the New York Post, but a number of them listing it under sort of their names or having it listed under some sort of company name. Fashion icon Anna Wintour also named. She's also been a supporter of Zoran Mamdani, or at least has praised him and his wife. So interesting stuff there of who's been on the list and who is not on the list. But now thousands upon thousands of people have had their name and addresses out. And now Zoran Mamdani's folks saying, you guys may be potentially taxed. I mean, why would you do that? Why would you ever do that? Why would you ever put them out there and put them right on the front lines where people could go after them and know their addresses? To me, this is such a horrible, horrible violation of privacy, opens them to harassment. And I guess I shouldn't be surprised, because remember when Zoran Mamdani did this ad and he was standing in front of Ken Griffin's home, and then soon after this, Ken Griffin said, I'm going to back away from my nice little luxury project in New York. This was preposterous. He literally, remember, had the video right in front of the place. Here's his place, looking at it right behind him. Remember this.
When I ran for mayor, I said I was going to tax the rich. Well, today, we're taxing the rich. I'm thrilled to announce we've secured a pied-à-terre tax, the first in New York's history. This is an annual fee on luxury properties worth more than $5 million, whose owners do not live full-time in the city. Like for this penthouse, which hedge fund CEO Ken Griffin bought for $238 million. This pied-à-terre tax is specifically designed for the richest of the rich, those who store their wealth in New York City real estate but who don't actually live here. But even so, they're able to reap the huge financial rewards of owning property in, dare I say, the greatest city in the world. And most of the time, these units are sitting empty, since again, they don't actually live here. This is a fundamentally unfair system that hurts working New Yorkers. Now, it's coming to an end. This tax will raise at least $500 million directly for the city. It'll help fund things like free childcare, cleaner streets, and safer neighborhoods. As mayor, I believe everyone has a role to play in contributing to our city, and some a little bit more than others. Happy Tax Day, New York.
And Ken Griffin thought it was creepy. It was weird. Remember, that was the reaction. And now you got to wonder what thousands of other people who have contributed greatly to New York. Remember, they don't use the resources of New York. It's not like they use the schools or the others. And now Zohran Mamdani is saying there should be extra taxes for them. This is really quite an extraordinary move. I've never seen someone so blatantly vilify those who are successful, who hire so many people, by the way. There was a great line. And John Katz and I were talking one time on Katz and Cosby. Steve Moore was with us. It was one day last week. And Steve said, what you need to do is say, have you ever been hired by a poor person? Because guess what? The answer is no. Have you ever had a job and you were brought in by a poor person? You know what? The owners of those companies are all successful, but they hire thousands upon thousands or hundreds or even dozens, no matter the size. Either way, you want to have people who are successful because they can hopefully rise everybody up. But listen, here is Dov Hikind. He has been a big supporter of the Jewish community, fighting anti-Semitism in a big way. And I wanted to play this because he joined us also on Katz and Cosby. And we had a discussion with him with Governor David Paterson in the studio, the former governor of New York, Democrat. And this is what they said about Zohran Mamdani and all the things he has been saying about Netanyahu and also the Israel Day Parade and a whole bunch more.
Well, absolutely. We need to be tough and strong and unapologetic. And this is just happening on such a regular basis. People in the Jewish community are afraid. I mean, you see the young man who was stabbed on the floor, and the person responsible for this is a guy by the name of Mamdani. The mayor of the city he's been inciting people, and the violence that is taking place, I lay it right at his doorstep. I mean, this man is so filled with hate and animosity towards the state of Israel, towards the Jewish people, plain and simple. So, we need to move away. I see a lot of the statements from some of the Jewish so-called leaders, the mayor has to tone it down. What do you mean tone it down? The guy is out of control. He's laughing at you. He's laughing at us. Look, I'm talking about the DA of Manhattan, Bragg. I know where he's coming from. We need to take legal action against the mayor. The mayor is committing crimes every day by incitement and possibly hate crimes. Someone has to deal with this. And if it's not going to be Bragg, it needs to be the Justice Department. There are victims every single day, and I blame the mayor to a great extent. And he doesn't stop. And, one of the things I just have to say, one of the things about Mamdani, he is probably the most honest guy in town. He's a radical Islamist. He's proud of it. He doesn't pretend anything different. It's the rest of us that are wishy-washy and don't recognize who we're dealing with. When people in the Jewish community go to Gracie Mansion to eat cheese danishes with him and shake his hand and hug him and all the rest of it, I mean, for God's sake, he is laughing at us. He's getting away literally with murder responsible, and we need the authorities. If it's not going to be the city, the state, then definitely I intend to do everything in the world for the Justice Department to examine the law with regard to the fact that Mamdani guilty at the very least of incitement. I don't think there's that much argument that his language and the things that he has said and done have definitely incited people to commit acts of hate crimes, and maybe even violated federal, anti-discrimination laws. So let's get tougher. Let's get stronger. Let's stop pretending that if we, talk nice and maybe can we get them to lower the rhetoric? How much? 50%, 10%, 70%? We got to stop with this freaking nonsense and be tough and strong and confront this man who is a radical Islamist.
I would say Dov Hikind is fired up, and he has a right to be. And I'm glad that he is speaking out. The question is, Mamdani doesn't seem to be backing away from the war criminal claim. And as you heard earlier, Bill de Blasio, the former mayor, is also joining in suit. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Susan in Corning, line 5. Go ahead, Susan.
Oh, my gosh, that video of him, what a smug idiot. He's never risked anything in his life. When he was an assemblyman, he didn't even show up to vote 65% of the time. What I feel so bad about that city. I lived there for so long. But what I wanted to say also, I heard today, you guys on Katz and Cosby, Michael Cohen, he's kind of growing on me. He was saying, don't these women that support Mamdani know about Sharia law and that this could happen in New York City, like what's happening in London? What alternative universe do they not have any knowledge of? And not all Muslims, are, part of that, but it is a fact that women lose their rights under Sharia law and it's not legal here. We have a constitution. It's happening, though. It's happening in Texas. It's happening in Michigan.
I was going to say, you hear it in Michigan. And then you've got, a number of these folks like in Michigan, like Dearborn. You've got the mayor there. I'll never forget, Susan, we played that clip. This was a while ago. You may remember when the pastor came over to the mayor there in Dearborn and he said, there's a street over here and it's named after Hezbollah. It's named after a Hezbollah terrorist. And the mayor told him to get out. Remember? He's like, you're not welcome here. I'm the mayor. Too bad. That to me was such a crystallizing moment because it was frightening. And the other thing, I don't know, maybe you heard when I was talking with Michael and John and I were talking with him earlier, I brought up that what about over in Germany this weekend? You probably saw what happened in Berlin. There was that guy who's had ties with the Islamic State that rode his vehicle into a parade. It's a gay pride parade because he's anti-gay. That's what they are there in Gaza. If you're gay, you last about 5 seconds there in Gaza. So I don't understand how anybody who, you've seen some of these college campuses, you see signs that are gays for Gaza. I mean, what are they talking about? Gays for Iran, gays for Gaza. And then you hear then you see young women out there, to Michael's point. What are these young women doing out there supporting anything close to these guys? These guys, would stone them to death in a heartbeat. Just if they looked at them wrong. I mean, these people are so clueless about how dangerous this is, don't you think?
But I don't even understand. So many of them are these kids whose parents, they come here from all over the country and their parents are putting them up in these apartments. I don't even know if they work or what they do, but they're all college educated, supposedly educated. I would say indoctrinated, college indoctrinated, or something's wrong with them. And they're just not living in the real world, and they're just absolutely like just walking around brainwashed.
I think that's a very good description. I agree. I think they're completely brainwashed. They're enamored by the free, and they don't get that these people are just selling a bill of goods, and in many ways, not even selling a bill of goods, they're selling hate. And you look at so many of the philosophies of these people, it's frightening. And that's why also I played that clip from the national co-chair that was on Fox News. And in this case, it was about abolish ICE, but it was also about abolish prisons. It was about abolish the Senate. I mean, what kind of land? Can you imagine? No prisons. You know, you want to live in that neighborhood? Susan, I want to play this again because it is so shocking. This is cut 36. And this is the DSA national co-chair, Megan Romer. She was on Fox News over the weekend, and it was like, hey, give us a short answer. And this kind of says it all. Like, oh, yeah, I agree with that. Oh, yeah, I agree with that. Listen to this.
Of your platform, and I want to ask you, just give me sort of a true or false on these. Abolish the Senate. True. Okay. Replace the presidency and Supreme Court as we now know them. Yep. Abolish ICE. Absolutely. Abolish borders and give amnesty to anyone currently in the U.S. illegally. As a long-term plan, yep. Defund the Pentagon. Absolutely. Abolish prisons, at least in large part. Yeah, again, as part of a long-term program, yeah. Okay, so no prisons. Government or public ownership of most large corporations. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so then let's go back through some of those then. Abolish the Senate. There are people who are in the Senate now who are very supportive of DSA. They lose their seats? Well, the Senate is an anachronistic institution.
I mean, it's insane. Oh, yeah, I want to abolish prisons, open borders, keep everybody here, abolish Senate, presidency. I mean, Susan, it's almost like a Saturday Night Live skit.
Well, so they want to get rid of the Electoral College which means that small states, they don't even know why the Senate is what it is, and that it's to make each state, equal, not based on, what their population is. It gives the states equal,
right. The whole point of it was to have equal representation. And what's happened, they don't want that. They want California and New York, especially, to have a lot of representation, because guess what? That's where a lot of them are. And the big cities, that's where a lot of them are. And I guess in their mind, the rest, to heck with the rest of America. Susan, you're right. It is so ludicrous, but it's also dangerous, too, as we just talked about, with some of the implications, especially those with some of these Islamist connections. And that, to me, is really, really frightening, too, as well. Boy, we are in crazy times. Susan, thank you very much. And everybody, we're going to continue your calls after the break, 1-800-848-9222. And you are listening to The Rita Cosby Show. But first, support our heroes.
The Rita Cosby Show presents Support Our Heroes.
And this is the Tunnel to Towers Foundation Support Our Heroes segment, with a very powerful story from Decatur County, Indiana, where a Vietnam veteran was awarded the Bronze Star after 57 years. Needless to say, it was a long time coming for Vietnam Veteran Specialist 4, Robert Bob Nugent. Although it was awarded to him in 1969, it has taken all these years for the hero to be officially recognized, to actually receive the medal itself. And he was in charge, the number of individuals who were in charge of the ceremony. There was Lieutenant Colonel Steve Spencer of the U.S. Army, and he said that because Nugent was already transitioning home on terminal leave when the award was actually approved, he was never formally presented the medal until now. And by the way, he said that during his time in Vietnam, Veteran Nugent served as a wheel vehicle and train mechanic with the 25th Infantry Division, also known as Tropic Lightning. His work was vital to keep the mission moving forward. And the veteran didn't have too many words. He just said, thank you. And I'm so glad I can finally receive this, saying it is a long time coming, but it is a tremendous honor. And of course, his family and friends were there, and also other veterans present too, to see this very important occasion. Bravo to him. And of course, all of our great Vietnam veterans. We love you and we appreciate you here on the Rita Cosby Show. Welcome home. And everybody help America to never, ever forget. Donate just $11 a month to the incredible Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Be sure to check them out at T2T.org. That's T, the number 2, T.org.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Rita Cosby Show.
And let's go to Bob in New Jersey, line 5. Bob, you're here on the Rita Cosby Show. Go ahead, Bob.
All right. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Great. My brother had died from 9/11, my twin brother. It's going to be 4 years in a few days.
Wow.
So, but here's my, bright side of it all. I think we ought to let Mom Commie speak, because I think he's going to hang himself in the eyes of the court of public opinion.
Now, let me ask you, your brother, you said, died a few years ago. Was it from, some of the toxins that were there at 9/11? Wow. Okay.
He was a first responder.
So you think, have him there, he'll say something probably so ridiculous or so detached that he'll show the world for all to see just how disconnected. Maybe he'll start talking about his auntie or something like that. Bob, very powerful that you're saying that. Give us a call tomorrow night, everybody. We got to go, unfortunately. But, Bob, I am so glad that you bring that up, because you're right. He may not be able to hold back. 1-800-848-9222.
Thanks for listening to The Rita Cosby Show. You can hear The Rita Cosby Show weeknights at 10 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?